Brought to you in part by Monadnock Flooring and Decorating, offering quality sales, service, and installation for over 35 years on Production Avenue next to Subaru of Keene. Hey everybody, welcome to A Culinary Journey. I'm Luca. We're going to be going on a little journey with pasta this week. You know what? People have been asking me all the time is, when are you going to get more pasta back at the restaurant, right? Because I did this pasta thing there for a while. Well, I'm going to be doing it, and I want to show you 3 pastas that I do there, and it's a lot of fun. People always ask me, well, what do I do when I'm cooking a certain pasta this way, or I've had and I want to do it? That's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to make an old favorite that's coming back. It's called Rigatoni alla Segreta, and I need to practice to make it, and I want to show you how to make it today. We're going to be doing a carbonara. I'll explain what that is, but that's basically a creamy, eggy sauce with cheese and black pepper. It's the simplest Italian pasta sauce you can make with some bacon in it, and everything is always better with bacon. And we're going to be making a shrimp scampi over fettuccine, or in this case, tagliatelle. So those 3 pastas, and your culinary journey starts now. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Culinary Journey. Remember, I just told you we were going to be making pastas. They're real simple pastas. It's about following this kind of little procedure of how you kind of marry all your flavors together. The first one we're going to do is Rigatoni alla Segreta. Now, Rigatoni alla Segreta is something that happened about 13 years ago when I first started my restaurant in Keene, New Hampshire, where we developed a pasta that had grapes, artichokes, roasted peppers, gorgonzola, cream, rigatoni, or in this case, we're going to do some penne pasta. What am I missing? Oh, some brandy or cognac. What am I missing? Oh, a lot of other flavors too. So we got garlic and shallots in there too. So it's an amazing, amazing blend of different sweet. It's got everything. Sweet, tart, flavorful, creamy, rich. I mean, it's all right there. It's a pasta that encompasses all the food groups. And it's one that I love making at the restaurant. So I decided to bring it back. So today, if you haven't seen this before on my show, you get a sneak peek of what's there now. So we're going to start off with getting our pan hot. Oh, and I mentioned this chicken in there too. That's the best part. We're going to get our pan hot and put a little oil in the pan. Now, one thing that's changed for me over the years as far as cooking-wise is the way I use garlic in pans. And this is funny. This is like going back to growing up. Your father used to do stuff, and now you find yourself doing it. Well, my dad's always had this philosophy that garlic should be enjoyed as a kind of a backdrop of flavor in a pan, but you shouldn't be biting into it. So what he would do, he would always season his oil with garlic, and that's just taking the oil, putting the garlic in, and letting it get hot. I always went, oh yeah, Dad, that's okay, but I'm always taught to put in a big amount of garlic. Well, if you don't like that big garlic flavor or that bite to it, this is a great way to put it in and then take it out and season the oil. Now, if you've watched me do it before, and I'll do it another time again, if you are chopping garlic to leave it in, do not put it in this early because it will burn and it will become kind of like that bitter, bitter garlic, and you don't want that in there. It's a little important thing to think about. So let's get a spoon ready because I'm going to have to take that out sooner or later. And a little plate, a little bowl to put my garlic in. But we're just kind of seasoning the oil with the garlic on medium heat, and this olive oil is getting a lot of that great garlic feel. There you go. That's all. We don't need a lot. You could even leave the pieces a little bit bigger. It all depends on who's cooking. This is definitely something, you know, that my dad would always show me to do. Now you have that garlic flavor in there. It's kind of like that roasted garlic flavor, but it's not overpowering. Another way to do that is actually making your own roasted garlic, but we'll show you that another time. All right, so this is what I need for my ingredients. First, I want to put in there a little bit of artichokes. These are just canned artichokes in brine, right? And we want those kind of searing. Now this is, in this case, my pasta is already cooked. I'll have my penne here already cooked. But in other cases, when you are boiling your own pasta at home, this sauce and the pasta can be made pretty much at the same time. So, and that's what you would be doing at home. So I'll take my artichokes. I'm pretty much making enough for one today. Let's turn this down just a touch. And I want those artichokes to caramelize. I'm going to add, again, both of these came straight from a can. You could use fresh if you want for the peppers as well. But these are canned roasted peppers that were packed in olive oil. And then we cut them up into strips. And we're going to let those cook together. Now you have that garlic flavor already in there. You have the peppers and the artichokes cooking together. We're going to add a little bit of my ariosto spicing, which is a blend of spices I use at my restaurant and I love to cook with. And the main difference between cooking at home and cooking in a restaurant is that we let things caramelize, especially your vegetables. When you think about caramelization, that's the natural sugar coming out of the item that's in the pan. So proteins have natural sugars, vegetables have natural sugars. And by caramelizing, that's when you're going to get that little brown, like almost cooked brown skin over the top of everything. And you just kind of leave them there so they get that. You don't want to go too far. You don't want to go burning them, but caramelizing your food just gives it much more flavor. So we just let that cook. So we got those two ingredients in there. We're going to add some shallots. So I'm just going to cut down a shallot real quick. And we're going to leave it on the big side, cutting it thin, but I'm not chopping it fine. So we'll have big chunks of shallots in there. We'll let those caramelize in there as well. All right. Now the great thing about this dish, one, it's super, super easy when you're cooking it because you're really just adding ingredients to the pan, and we're going to finish it off with cream and gorgonzola, and that's going to bring it all together. All right, those are all cooking in there. Let's add another ingredient to the mix, which is an interesting ingredient to add, are grapes. Cooked grapes have this kind of natural, intense sweetness that adds to the pan. Now, we don't want them to break down too much, but we want them to warm up in there. If you like your grapes a little bit more whole and actually not broken down at all, you put them in the last minute when we're reducing the cream. But I like to bring it into this point. And some of them maybe pop a little bit and you get that sweetness in the pan. So we got boom, boom. We got garlic. We got garlic, shallots, artichokes, roasted peppers, grapes. What's next? It gets cool after this. Ready? This is when it gets quick. So we have our ingredients. Oh, let's put in our chicken too. Now I like to use a grilled chicken. I mean, I have these grilled chickens that we have that I prepare for sandwiches from the market. So I like to use that in there. But you could do anything. It could be leftover chicken. You could pan sear some chicken ahead of time and then add it to it. Or you could sear the chicken in first and then pull it away. But a little bit of chicken goes well. Shrimp goes well in here too if you like. We could do that as well. All right? And now let's get our brandy in there. This is if you have a stovetop at home that has gas. This is whenever you add any type of alcohol that can flame up. That's the fortified wines and the brandies and things like that. You want to take it away, put it in. Now the smart way is to go as high as possible and come straight down. This way it doesn't flame up. What I like to do is kind of do that. And that's just getting a little bit of that flame. And then what you're doing is releasing the alcohol, the bitterness. You're not making it a non-alcoholic alcohol, but the bitterness that's on there, that little bite that you get from the alcohol, is kind of just going away. And we're flambeing that off and getting rid of that. But at the same time, why we add the alcohol is doing its purpose, which is bringing out other flavors in the vegetables that are in there and the meat. All right, so that looks pretty easy so far, right? Watch how easy it really gets. So we're letting that die down. We're going to finish this off with our cream. And this is what's going to bring this whole dish together. I've always loved this dish, and every time I prepare it, I remember why. I'm not the biggest fan of grapes in my dish in any foods, but when you have this and all the other flavors combined, you have an intense marriage of flavors that just really knocks you out. The last thing I just put in there was a gorgonzola, and this is going to start coming down and becoming this incredible sauce as the gorgonzola melts into it. Now what I'm going to do with the pasta, that's what we'll do with the pasta real quick. Let's see if I have something to scoop it out of there before I do that. Let's see. You know what we're going to do with the pasta? In this case, since it's cooked, if I had it in the boiling water and I was taking out of the boiling water, I blanch it, I drain it in the sink, and still with the heat and everything on there, I'd add it to this. If you just say have leftover pasta at home and you want to make this dish, you kind of let this reduce down and then add your pasta to it like you would if you were cooking it. Now by adding your pasta to this, you're warming up the pasta in the sauce. So you're doing two things. You're also, on the other side, helping thicken the sauce with the natural starches that are in the pasta. And if you do the two of those together, oh, this looks so good. This gets better as we go. We're going to let that reduce down. I'm going to add a couple of final touches to it, which is some fresh parsley. And we'll chop that up. So with fresh parsley, what I do is I took it right off the stem, right? And then you kind of roll it all together into a ball. It's the best way to do fresh parsley if you want to do small chop. And then get really, really close to it. And for those of you who watched the show before, you know how I like to cut. I like to make sure that my fingers become my guide, right? And I follow it down, but the closer you get to the edge, you're almost giving it a shred. Look at that. And because you'll only have to cut this once, if you wrap it up nice and tight, there's a French technique called chiffonade, which is ribbons. And usually you could do that in larger things like basil, but you could also almost get a ribbon cut of your parsley. There's some big pieces in here, but we'll pull those out. And then let's toss this a little bit. Wow, look at that. See how that's coming together? The sauce is coating over everything, the grapes and all those flavors. And now is the time where I realize why I like this dish so much, is because it's a ton of flavor. It smells incredible. Oh, look at this. I don't know. There's a reason why this was an old favorite all the time. Let's see. Oh, here's my bowls. Actually, we'll put it on a plate because it looks so good. It needs to be served on a plate. And everybody, that's our first dish. It's the Rigatoni alla Segreta. Now, when we come back, we're going to make another classic dish, and one that I love making, shrimp scampi. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to have some of that. When I come back, I'll make you a shrimp scampi, and we'll put that over some fettuccine. You'll absolutely love it. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Culinary Journey. I feel like I just started the same segment over. Guess what we're doing first? We're chopping garlic, and we're going to start doing shrimp scampi over pasta. Now, if this thing lights, we'll be able to do that segment. Now, this one's where I'm going to do a little bit different. Remember I told you in the last segment, I put the garlic in, and I basically gave flavor to the sauce, and I took it out. Well, this is one of those dishes that people who love shrimp scampi, which are basic ingredients of butter, garlic, shallots, white wine. What am I missing? That's pretty much it. And a little bit of lemon. Love the garlic part. Okay, you're not going to light, are you? Let's try that again. Oh, I know how to make this light. I'm just waiting for the time that it just like pops really heavy and we get all this stuff, because that makes great TV. So now, about wanting to do the garlic, what we're going to do, hey, it lit. What we want to do with the garlic is chop it up nice and fine, right? So basically that's rocking your knife back and forth on there. You've seen other people do where they put salt on it. You could just throw some salt on there and then just kind of crack it or brush it. This is going to give the garlic a little bit of bite. There are different ways you cut garlic actually change the way the garlic tastes. If you leave it whole in slivers, it gives it more of a nutty flavor. By chopping it, it's a more sharp flavor. So that's good with our garlic. So that's the first thing we want to get ready, or our mise en place for this dish, because it goes by pretty quickly. What we want to do first is cook our shrimp, and then we'll take our shrimp out, because I want to get a sear on the shrimp, and I want to flavor the shrimp. That's important. So there we go. We got our garlic done. We got our pan getting hot with some oil in it. I'm going to cut the shallots the same way I cut the garlic, so that way they're a little bit on the finer side, where I cut these are pretty small. You got to be ready for this one. And boom, boom, boom. So a nice fine chopped shallots. Let's get rid of that. We just need a little bit more. Perfect. And that'll give us our fine chopped shallots. Those are two ingredients, a real quick, easy dish that you'll love making at home. Taking our shrimp, these are actually, they come from the Gulf of Mexico on down in Central America. You can find them in different parts of Central America, this type of shrimp. I'll generally find two types of shrimp while I'm looking for things. You can find American shrimp, although those are seasonal and only come fresh that I found. You can find Asian shrimp that are plentiful. That's actually most of the time you go out and buy shrimp, you're going to find Asian shrimp. And you can find some Central American shrimp that are frozen like the Asian shrimp. And that's what I like to use. It just has a whole different flavor to it, a little more intense, robust. It's really wonderful. So we have water going because we're going to be using a fresh frozen, it's easy for you to say, fresh frozen tagliatelle or wide noodle pasta. And then we have our shrimp here that we're cooking on both sides. Let's just flip that over. I'm going to wait till they start going from that gray to the kind of pink. There we go. And they're very quick. Now we're not going to cook them all the way through here because the key behind cooking the shrimp is to keep them tender. So we're going to add them to the sauce near the end with the pasta as we toss the pasta. So we don't want to get rid of them. We don't want to cook them all the way through. So what I'll need is a little plate to get my shrimp back on. So I got my little sear on those in the oil. And then we'll start putting together our sauce. Again, quick sauce, easy sauce. You want to make it nice and rich and creamy. Another trick at the end we'll show you in a second. All right, while the shrimp are there, let me go to my freezer and get a couple of nests, let's do 4, of these tagliatelle. Now what you could do is you could go and buy frozen fresh pasta or even fresh pasta. Even when I get fresh pasta, I like to freeze it because then it holds together better and it takes a little bit longer to cook. Now with dry pasta, what you'll find with dry pasta is it takes 8-10 minutes to cook before it's done. These will be done in about 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm just going to dump them in our water and I can pick them up with our tongs in a little bit. So we have that in there. We're going to get our shallots in and let those start cooking down. All right, let's get our garlic in. Again, this is one of those dishes. People love garlic when they have this. So let's get our garlic in. Oh, that even smells delicious. A little salt and pepper mix, a little bit of our Ariosto blend. We're going to deglaze our pan like you always do. Now, white wine doesn't really have a flash point like we had the brandy. So what we can do is now deglaze the pan, but we still do the same thing and put it on here. Now, to really get the flavor of the wine into the food, what you want to do is kind of let it concentrate and come down. So you almost want to go reduced by half. So depending how much you go in there, you need to leave it there a little bit longer. Again, if you don't like alcohol in your food for whatever reason or can't have it, what I highly recommend is doing maybe a vegetable stock or a fish stock because that's what you would use to deglaze the pan because it doesn't get rid of all the alcohol. But you can see how it's already reducing down, coming off the sides because it filled the whole pan before. And then we're going to add the other 2 ingredients. One is lemon juice because with fish, a good lemon juice is always a great way to go. A good amount of lemon juice is a great way to go. And we're going to let that reduce. Let's get this on high. Let that reduce. Check out our pasta. You see it's already starting to break apart out of those nests. But because it wasn't dry, it's pretty much ready. And we want to keep it al dente and a good fresh pasta. There's companies like Carla's Pasta and some other pastas that make some really, really good fresh frozen pastas. And you could find the one you like, and that's the one you're going to go with. Look at that. These are pretty much ready, and they're going to be perfect for our dish in a second. As this reduces down, the king of this whole dish, what really brings it together is butter. Don't skimp on this. Get it in there. Turn the pan down and heat. Whoop, wrong pan to turn down. There you go. We turn the heat down on the pan because we don't want the butter and the liquid to break. We want it to come together into a sauce. And then it's about color at this point. Now you can make a scampi that's a little bit spicy. That's a great way to go because you can put a little red pepper in there. Some people love to do it. But parsley is very important in this. And I can't stress enough the difference between flat leaf and curly parsley with certain items. If you're making an Italian pasta dish, flat leaf parsley is the way to go. I highly recommend it. You'll see the difference by using it or not using it. Now, if you don't have flat leaf parsley for whatever reason, you know what works really well, and if you have that at home, is celery leaf. Don't throw away your celery leaf. Use it like parsley. It's excellent. It's got a little bit of that bitter flavor that parsley has, and it just really gives your food a kick. So if you were thinking, what am I going to, I always throw away my parsley, my celery leaf stems. Don't. You could use those instead of flat leaf parsley. Give you the same effect. And actually makes you look like a cool cook because you used everything out of the item. How are we looking? This is nice and chopped. Check out our sauce. You see how that's coming together? Now, here's what I was going to say to you. If you like your scampi sauce just a little more creamy than what it is, you cheat a little by adding a touch of cream. Not a lot like we did for the rigatoni alla Segreta, but just a touch of cream. And that's going to bring this together perfectly. Give you this nice creamy finish. We had our parsley in there. Let's get all our parsley in. A little more salt and pepper. Oh, get our shrimp in there. This dish is delicious. It's definitely one of my favorites when I can do it. We'll get our pasta. Mix in your pasta with your sauce at all times. Never, ever, ever. Well, there's one exception, but we'll talk about that in a second. But mixing your pasta with your sauce is the main key to making a great sauce, because you get some of the water from the pasta in there too, and it helps hold it together. And our shrimp scampi is completed. Let's get that on a plate. Oh man, this day gets better and better. Pasta's the way to go. Like I said, it's something that I'm doing again at my restaurant, and I'm going to be bringing back pastas in full force, but homemade like this, really incredible flavors, all done from scratch. We're going to be having a lot of fun with that. Look at that. Let's get our shrimp on there. Do not forget the sauce on this, because that lemon butter wine sauce with all that garlic is what really makes it. All right. Do I have your attention now? Because I hope I do. Because we are going to be making a carbonara sauce, and that is going to be the world's easiest sauce for cooking Italian pasta. So don't go away. We'll be right back with carbonara. Hey everybody, welcome back. Oh, I wish you could smell this. I'm rendering down my bacon for my carbonara. Now listen, when I do bacon and rendering down in a pan, see all that fat that's in there? Actually, what's great about the fat that's in there, that's all it made it itself. And I need all that because it's part of this dish, right? Now, all I did was put a little salt in the pan, hot pan with salt, and I threw the bacon in. And right away, the salt started bringing out the fat, right? But I'll show you how quick this dish is. It's about getting this bacon done, and then everything else is easy. So, let's put our fresh pasta in there, right? Let's make sure that bacon starts rendering down. Keep it on a medium heat. And let's do our ingredients for our, what are we making? Carbonara. Carbonara, carbone, actually means carbon or coal, right? It actually, one of the stories about this was that it was made by the coal makers or the coal miners in Italy, and it was one of those favorite dishes. So it was alla carbonara, but there was so much coal in the air and around, the pasta actually got a little black. So a lot of people even used to make it with squid ink pasta or squid ink to add to it to kind of cover that up because of where they ate it. But in this case, we are going to do a traditional true carbonara with a twist. Now here's the twist. First thing about a carbonara, the whole sauce is actually prepared in this bowl, and we're going to serve it straight from here because it's not something that we're creating a cream sauce. We're doing an egg sauce. Now, usually Americans want a little bit more creaminess to their pastas than a straight carbonara, which is just egg, bacon, a lot of black pepper. What we're going to do is add some mascarpone cheese, which is this triple cream cheese, and a real good amount of cracked pepper, because pepper is, again, a really good ingredient here. Check out our bacon. Look how that's coming together nicely. Perfect. We're going to just shut that off. Watch. This is how quick it goes. Ready? We're going to have that. We're going to do 2 eggs. One egg and 1 egg yolk. So I'll just get an egg yolk going. Get rid of the white. Get that and that. We need a good amount of Parmigiano cheese because that's a big part of this. And we're going to mix up these ingredients here. All right? So cheese, egg yolk, the mascarpone, which is going to give us some extra creaminess. And that's our base to the dish. And we're going to be putting more cheese later on when we get to it. Now we want to cook the egg, all right? But it's tempered because it has a lot of other stuff around it. To cook the egg, we're going to add in our pasta with a little pasta water. And when I tell you a quick dish, our pasta's cooked, right, everybody? Watch, that goes in there, starts cooking the egg. We put our bacon in there, and we start mixing all that up. A true carbonara takes seconds, and it's rich and creamy and delicious. Now, we've added to it, because we added the mascarpone, but the eggs cook into the pasta. And a cool way to finish, just like making basil pesto, if you feel like you need to heat it up a little bit more, this pasta water has tons of flavor. It's pre-salted, it has the starches, and that just brings it all together too. So this creamy dish, oh, let's find a plate for this. I was going to say we're going to serve it from here. I want to serve it on a plate. This creamy dish with some fresh parsley on it is amazing. Rich, delicious, and we've definitely added the cream factor. And you got bacon. You know, in Italy we would use pancetta, which is a different type of bacon. But here we use just bacon, and we'll put some more cheese on it. In this case, we're going to do some whole parsley just for a garnish, and then we'll eat into that. But there you go. We had 3 amazing dishes. We have to get going because our time's up. But we had a carbonara, we had a rigatoni alla segreta, in this case a penne alla segreta, and shrimp scampi, all quick, easy, a lot of fun. I hope you had a good time. I had a blast, and I'll see you next time on A Culinary Journey. Bye. Brought to you in part by Monadnock Flooring and Decorating, offering quality sales, service, and installation for over 35 years on Production Avenue next to Subaru of Keene.